What goes on?
Live from Hollywood, California.
Doesn't that sound exciting?
It's the Audio Missile Podcast.
Okay, we've been talking about the homeless epidemic in past podcasts, but this is genius. I don't know if I was homeless.
With the cruise ship?
Well,
Plastic Island?
Plastic Island, well, that was my idea. It was creating an artificial island, but now I found out that there's a homeless problem at the LAX.
Yep.
Yeah. There's people that actually they go out there every night and sleep at night, and they take off in the morning. They
showers, clean showers,
clean bathrooms. They carry a fake suitcase.
Yep. Oh no! Or the worst case scenario, they walk away with your suitcase.
Yes, a couple of people have walked from the carousel. They walk off with a suitcase. Why not? I wake up refreshed, ready to steal.
They blend in. Yeah, people think they're travelers. They blend in. You have a suitcase. You're asleep. You know, every time I've been in the airport, I've seen someone there laying, sleeping, tired.
Always. They take my suitcase out. They're getting his fucking dirty underwear and socks.
Well, check it out.
I don't have anything valuable.
Well, it turns out that the LAX police have responded to over 1,000 incidences this year alone.
I've heard of over 800 regulars.
Well, between 100 to 800 regulars. It depends. When it's raining, more people show up.
Well, they're documenting them. I saw...
They had to go undercover. They did an undercover thing just to try to figure it out. Are they travelers or homeless? And it turns out...
Maybe both. Maybe travelers that got homeless. They couldn't afford to go back home.
Right. Those expensive airfares.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out the majority of them suffer from mental illness or substance abuse. And, they can steal your luggage. They can... they've attacked people. So let us know as you guys are traveling the holidays this season. We know you like to drink and get FUIs, but be careful. Someone might steal your luggage.
And I don't think LAX is the only airport or terminal that has homeless people. Let us know if your airport is suffering the same kind of problems.
You are listening to the Audio Missile Podcast.
Okay, and then we have a story this week. A bus driver fell asleep and almost killed a couple of kids. Was he?
Well, no. It turns out it was empty.
It was empty.
27-passenger bus was empty. And this is the second time that bus driver fell asleep this year.
So he suffers illness, or is he just a drunk ass?
His attorney says he suffers from sleep apnea. But check this out.
So he shouldn't be driving then.
No, check this out. Ironically, it was caught on a Ring door camera. You know, the Ring we talked about last time? Well, in front of the house, what it caught was a bus crashing into a mailbox, then a telephone pole, and then it hit a car, and then it hit a rock that stopped it from crashing into the house itself.
Okay, did the driver wake up after all
That's when he woke up.
After the fourth crash?
No, check this out. So now check this out. The neighbor came out who heard all the noise, and his name was Dwayne McNutt. And Mr. McNutt said, yo, what happened? And he said, well, I fell asleep, and I heard a loud bang and woke up, and that's when I was heading towards the house. And luckily, what stopped him was the rock.
Well, he would have drove into the house.
Oh, definitely. So, you asked what they did.
That's a good thing or a bad thing for who? Because if he would have drove into the house, he would have got paid.
Sure. Well, let me tell you what happened to him. The bus driver was taken to the hospital as a precaution. And, like I said, this is the second time this year it's happened. He says he suffers from sleep apnea.
He shouldn't be driving
No! My boy.
If my kid would have been on that bus, I would have kicked his ass.
That's right. So, they got to have more stringent laws, I guess, for these bus drivers. All right, and when the first time he should have been fired.
Hell yeah.
That's what I say.
He's probably fired now.
He shouldn't be
always fired now.
He shouldn't even be allowed to have a driver's license at all.
And so guess what?
Like the people that get seizures.
Sure. Well, they're going to be using that Ring footage from the security camera as evidence against them. So, the Ring camera in this case worked.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the lady who has her Alexa, testifying against her in court because it was recording a conversation between her and her husband.
Is that real?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah. No, well,
folks, not your friend.
Folks, you heard that. We're gonna have to do a future podcast about that because, in the end, what is it? Technology is not your friend.
I don't think so. I
don't think so.
Well, you heard it here. Audio Missile Podcast.
Hola, están escuchando el misil de audio.
Okay, when I first heard this story, I thought this was a crazy bitch or something crazy had happened, but it turns out it's more of a love story.
Yes,
a beautiful love story. Weird, but a beautiful.
Well, it turns out her name was Jean Sorn Mathers, and she was 75 years old. And the maintenance man hadn't heard from her in like a week or so. So he knocked on the door and finally went inside the house and found her dead. But that's where the story takes a twist. The detectives showed up, and when they went through the house in the freezer, what did they find?
They found her husband dead in the freezer.
That's right, the full body of her husband. And it turns out he had been there for a while.
10 years.
10 years. And she was collecting his benefits.
Okay, this is great. See, the guy had a terminal illness. He was going to die anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
they probably got together and he said, you know what? If I pass away, don't report it.
Well, somebody can make that story up, but they went down to a public notary and had him sign off on it.
Exactly, because he didn't want her to go to jail.
And that was
in case they found her before she died.
Yep.
She wouldn't go to jail.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. He protected her. This was planned.
Yep.
He wanted her to get her check. She was already 65.
And it's legal?
Well,
she's dead. They can't prosecute
what can
her.
they do to her?
What are they gonna do?
That's what I'm saying. It was beautiful.
It's a love story.
He helped her. He said, look, you're 65. You can't work. Just get my check. And if they ever come and bust you, here's the letter to release you of any guilt. And then but she died before they could find him. So.
And it was December 2008 he did that with the public notary, and then 2009 he died. And then for 10 years she got benefits, and she got like $150,000. That's not, she barely survived without those benefits, Social Security.
But he was getting treatment at the VA for a terminal illness.
Shouldn't she be taken care of anyways?
After he stopped coming to the VA for a year or two.
No.
He wouldn't notice?
Right, so what was her story? She said that he walked out on her. She had a story. She said, yeah, my husband left me. He's a drinker. He walked out for a younger woman. So they thought,
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then hey... So, it's in the end, you got to let us know, folks. Do you think this is a crime or is this a love story?
Will there be more copycat veterans?
Hey, this is Felipe. Stay tuned. Audio Missile Podcast will be right back.
Well, I always thought marijuana was a peaceful drug and its stoners were mellow people, but it turns out that there's a few stoners out there giving other stoners a bad name. What's going on, Cordell?
Well, it turns out in Maine, this kid, 16 years old, Lucas Miranovas, killed his mother, Kimberly, after she confronted him about stealing her prescription marijuana.
So he was a moocher.
A moocher. Oh, he was a crazy stoner because she went to beauty school and she came home and noticed some of it was missing, and him and his two friends who were staying there from out of state, his little buddies, because he wanted to go stay at their house. He said, well, no, come stay at our house. You could have a sleepover with your two buddies. She goes to school. They smoke her weed. She comes home and confronted him.
So is it legal or medicinal where she's from?
I thought it was prescription.
So it's medicinal.
Medicinal, prescription.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So they smoke her legal weed, and then what happens?
Well, she confronted him.
What the fuck, guys? Smoke my weed.
Yeah. No, not even like that. Because she loved the kid so much that she flew or drove his friends from out of state just to come visit him. So she really cared about him. So here's the thing. She goes to sleep, and they decide, okay, let's make it look like a suicide.
Let's kill this bitch because she doesn't like us smoking her weed.
That's right. That way we can get them. And this is some good, really good indica. This is some good California indica, my boy. Now,
I don't think these guys are smoking just weed.
No, listen, this is what they do.
Something else.
They put the pills in the wine, but it wouldn't dissolve all the way.
Okay.
And so they go, well, fuck, what are we going to do? So they went upstairs, and the two kids choked her while he stabbed her, his mom, over the weed.
So... I don't think...
it's not over weed.
I don't think it's weed. I think it's something else.
Because I think if you smoke weed, that should help chill those bad tendencies.
You should mellow out, man.
Yeah.
Like you get home, like, what, must
maybe it will... Mom's cool.
Those are deeper issues, right?
Right. Well, guess what? They just sentenced him 33 years.
Only 33 years?
Well...
For weed?
Oh, well, so folks, let us know what you think in the comments below, and remember, when you smoke weed, don't stab your mother.
Yeah, don't stab your parents.
You are listening to the Audio Missile Podcast.
Well, we've been talking about how vegetarians always want you to know they're vegetarians. They tell you. as soon as you meet them, I'm a vegetarian.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or vegan Thanksgiving.
I know you're a vegetarian.
Yeah, right.
The first thing you told me was, "Hi, my name's Cordell. I'm a vegetarian." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And then people try to make their dogs vegan. They try to make their birds vegan and all kinds of crap.
Their vegan dog food. We talked about that one.
What happened now?
Oh, dude, but this is not a good story.
Oh, no.
The Florida couple fed their kids only raw fruits and vegetables, and the baby died.
Everybody knows you have to add broccoli to that diet.
Oh my God! We're making light of it, but it's pretty sad. They charged them with first-degree murder, child abuse, 2 counts for child neglect.
Damn.
After the 18-month-old son starved to death, he was only 17 pounds when she called 911 because he was cold and was not breathing.
So she wasn't breastfeeding at all?
None of that. No.
So isn't breastfeeding vegan?
At 18 months, are you still breastfeeding?
I breastfed till I was 8.
And so, and she had 3 other kids that were 3, 5, and 11 that had to take into custody.
They survived the vegan.
Yeah, they survived the vegan onslaught.
So she gave them also the vegan.
Yeah, they were starved too. They were skinny and all dying.
So how come the other one didn't survive?
Well, because it was the youngest. Yeah, it was too young, 18 months old, and only eating
But the other ones,
some raw fruits.
The other ones went.
But by the time you're 18 months old, you can definitely eat solid food by then. I mean, you're drinking out of a bottle for the first 6 months of your life, or breastfeeding. I mean, some mothers are psycho and they breastfeed their kids for up to 2 years or even up to 5 years, which is gross. But you're only supposed to at least do it for 6 weeks to 6 months of life.
So if your kid's over 18 months and you're still breastfeeding, you're still like getting your titties sucked.
No.
There's some mom. People. That's kind of taboo shit going on right there. Cut it out.
So, like I said, they charged them, and they're about to sentence them coming up and tell them if they're going to give them first-degree murder, child abuse, all that.
I make them eat meat.
Right, that's their sentence.
Whole grains. That's the key.
You're listening to the Audio Missile Podcast.
I'm not a big boat person.
Cruise ships
or a cruise ship basically because I get seasick and I'm poor. But Marc Anthony has money and he has a yacht. What happened to his yacht, Cordell?
Oh, that very fancy yacht worth $7 million. It went down in flames the other day.
So is he broke and he's trying to do some insurance claim or what? What's going on right there?
No, it had a problem there in the dock there in Miami. It was called the Andiamo. What does that mean?
The what?
Andiamo.
Andiamo?
Andiamo.
I don't know. It must mean I'm rich in some other language.
Yeah, I bet. Well, he's worth $80 million at least. And what team did he buy into?
The Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
He bought him and Jennifer Lopez kind of when they were married.
Right. Well, I hope he knows how to swim because the thing sank. And
it probably has insurance on that crap, right?
Well, yes and no, because he's trying to get the city to foot part of the bill up to $300,000. That's all they're going to put. And you're saying, why should the city get involved?
I wouldn't put crap. He's rich.
Right. Exactly. So right now they're having a little dispute between him and the city over the money and the insurance.
I would be like, kids' lunches or your boat? Let me think about it.
Right.
No.
Well, that's not the only thing happening with cruise ships. Down in Mexico in Cozumel. Have you ever been there?
Cozumel?
No, Cozumel. That's how you say it?
Yeah.
Cozumel. Well, it turns out 2 ships crashed, and they're from the Carnival Cruise lines.
Oh, wow.
One was the Glory, crashed into the Legend. Well, they made a Legend. Now 6 people were injured, and there's going to be lawsuits.
So was it driving by itself like the Tesla car, or what's going on?
No. Well, that's funny that you say that because the Carnival apologized and said that it was due to spontaneous gusts and currents. But guess what? And they're calling it a elision.
What's the difference?
I've never heard. Have you ever heard of an elision?
Never.
No, that's the technical term. Their lawyers are saying, well, we're sorry because it was a elision due to wind gusts and currents.
So they're
trying to get out the lawsuit. In other words,
they're the same company. So they can't. They're not going to sue each other, right? They're the same company, right?
Well, yeah, it's 2 of their ships. No, the people that are going to sue them are the passengers.
Oh, okay.
So the 6 injured, they took them to the hospital.
I'd be like, my neck.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it turns out they were kind of okay. So, on these cruise ships, the biggest things that happened is it's called norovirus, which is the stomach bug, which 19 people a year in America get. But on a cruise ship, you got like 5,000, 3,500 people. You're
in a confined space.
Yep. And people get sick and they go into these ports of calls in these little towns and eat all this weird food they don't eat, different hours they're sleeping.
So food poisoning and diarrhea or flu?
People from around the world and, all in a little confined environment there. Norovirus.
Nada bueno.
No bueno. Well, let us know, folks. You know, we're talking about cruise ships for homeless, cruise ships crashing into each other, cruise ship virus. You know, and if you got a cruise ship story, let us know in the comments below.
El misil de audio regresa en un momento. No se vayan, por favor.
Okay. There's going to be a lot of disappointed hipsters because they're going to be able to eat banana chips or banana smoothies anymore. What's the story, Cordell?
Banana-pocalypse. You know, in the next decade, a fungus called the Panama disease might wipe out all the bananas in the world.
Hell no.
All bananas or just a certain species of banana?
Well, the problem is everyone started growing the same strain of bananas because it was the top producer. You know, what this one was called Big Mike. It's called monoculture is the word, when there's lack of diversity.
Was that grown in West Hollywood? Or
right.
So we kind of like screwed ourselves over.
You know, you've ever heard of the potato famine in 1845 in Ireland? Because they only grew like, 2 or 3 strains of potatoes. And then they had a fungus. So, you know, whereas opposed to the Incas, who had like 10 or 20 different strains of potatoes. So if there was a problem with one, they had other ones they could grow, you know, that were pest resistant. So this is what happened. You know, in the top banana strain in the world is called Big Mike. The Kavanaugh banana, and everyone converted over to it. You know, and this disease first started in Australia before it went to Panama, and now it went to Colombia, causing the shortage, all the prices to go up, and now they're worried.
All these immigrants causing problems. Oh. Even in the banana world.
Well, you know, there's 2 things that come from Colombia. Besides, you know, the other thing besides banana, which is the...
What, girls with big butts?
Well, we'll talk about that in another episode. So like we said, there's a shortage and all the prices are going up right now. You know, we'll see what's going to happen with the banana-pocalypse. We might have to switch to other fruits for those, your favorite smoothies there. Strawberry banana, chocolate-covered bananas.
That sucks.
That does suck.
No banana for cereal?
Banana sundaes.
Yeah. No more Sundays.
You are listening to the Audio Missile Podcast.
A few years ago, I went to Philadelphia, and one of the first things I wanted to do is go check out this Rocky statue. I mean, I know he's not a real boxer or anything, but...
They call it the Rocky Steps.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Hollywood, and I always go to Capitol Records and Pink's, and I check out all the monuments. So while I was in Philadelphia, I was going to be there for 2 weeks. I said, why not go check out the statue? But you know who I didn't see? Sylvester Stallone.
Right. Well,
it turns out he showed up at some kids, right? At some schools there.
Yeah. Well, I think he was doing this part of a promotion. He said he had a secret that he was going to unveil coming up, and people are saying it might be a Super Bowl commercial.
Or maybe he's just gay, like...
or what was the other guy? Billy D.
Messing around.
You'll get a knockout, you know.
He's going to give you a 45.
Well, you know, speaking of Sylvester, he just did that documentary about Andrew Ruiz Jr. that lost... the fight there, weighed 283 pounds, yeah.
Well, he's trying to get the third fight to see what
happens.
happens.
And, you know, and I think that's what that's all about is that third fight. And they'll come back slim this time. Well, I mean, because Sly just invested all that money into that movie.
Well, at the end of the day, he's rich, so he could take a hit.
Sure.
He's not going to go broke if he makes one crappy fucking film.
So when you were in Philadelphia, was it cold?
It was super cold. It was ice cold, man, like a dead man's ass.
Oh. Well, you know, they said it was 33 degrees when he was there. You know, I don't know how cold it was when you were there.
That's great, dude. He showed up, took pictures, and he did selfies with people, and people had videos of him up by the statue raising his hand up and everything.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool. I mean, if you go to somebody's statue and the actual person the statue is based on happens to show up, that would be cool.
I think he said a famous line, "Keep punching" or something to him.
I'm a fake boxer, but keep punching.
Keep punching, yeah. Well, you know, what'd you eat in Philly? You eat any good food there?
Dude, Philly cheesesteak sandwiches.
Original.
That's the home of it right there?
Well, I went to Jim's and the big spots, right?
Right.
The main.
But then I found this little hole on the wall. It was called the Pizza Palace.
The Pizza Palace in Philly, huh?
Yes.
Shout out to the Pizza Palace. Yes. You heard it here.
They had an amazing sandwich and an amazing pizza. I even bought a pizza and took it back to the hotel.
Oh, right.
You know.
What were you doing in Philly?
I was out there just smoking weed and checking out the country, you know. Right. I'm American after all. I want to check out my country, you know, check out the East Coast. I'm from the West Coast. Wanted to see how cold it gets over there. I went in the winter.
Right,
anyone could go in the summer.
Right. Oh, no.
But I went in the winter when it was the coldest.
That's why I was wondering, what were you doing in Philadelphia in the winter?
Freezing.
But now it's freezing. Well, folks, let us know if you see any famous stars. You run into them or you have any experiences there in the comments below.
We are now interrupting this radio broadcast. we have special news from the Audio Missile Podcast. Yes, folks, we will return to your normal station programming when this message is done.
Okay, and we're back. We're going to talk about Christmas and people who actually pay it forward.
Yeah,
okay.
Feel-good story.
Yeah.
We got to have one of those every now and then. And this is a Florida man who paid the bills, power bills, for 36 families. And what he did was he called City Hall and said, hey, is there anybody that's about to have their electricity turned off? Give me all their names. And they sent him 36 families with past due accounts, you know, that were worried about their gas and water being shut off. And he paid all their bills. And what happened was they got a letter in the mail, a little postcard, instead of saying your power's turned off, the thing said, hey, somebody paid your bill.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you.
And that was in Gulf Breeze, Florida. And so, you know, and one of the mothers, she went on Facebook. She was a mother of four. Her electricity was about to be turned off for Christmas. She went on and said, angels are absolutely walk among us.
There you go. Well, she should thank the guys, because I don't think angels had anything to do with it.
Right. No, he said he had a good year in sales that year, and he wanted to pay it forward, because what happened was, he said earlier in 1983, his electricity was turned off, and him and his four daughters,
they spent Christmas in the dark.
They spent Christmas in the dark, and so he didn't want that to ever happen again. So
people around his neighborhood, at least, right?
So he was 73 years old. His name is Mike Esmond. So you know, we say, hey, shout out to you,
All right, Mike Esmond. Great job being a good person.
You are listening to the Audio Missile Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and hit those like buttons.